You know,
Who's
like when a
this?
when a black bear's coming your way, just want to be able to
You
scare it
mog
away.
on him. You see that video? It's like
That's Sam
when
Zulik.
the officer catches you with steroids and he says, "Put your hands
Oh,
behind your back," and he does a rear last spread. Oh shit! There's this new thing
that's
now
the
where it's
goal.
like, oh, for sure. There's this new thing now where like women are being asked like if you would rather like if you're stuck in the woods, would you rather a grizzly bear or like a human man to be with you? And the vast majority are choosing grizzly bear, and all the guys are like, you don't understand how big and awful grizzly bears are.
Yeah,
Like you don't. They're like 600 plus pounds. They could kill you in one strike.
I was gonna say, are
It's just
those
is wild.
the ones where you just no polar bears are the ones where you're just done. You got nothing you can do. One of them you
Yeah,
can hide, and one of them you can try and lat spread.
that's black bears. Blackberries you could like make yourself bigger and loud, and they'll run away because they're kind of skittish. But grizzly bears, like basically, you can't outrun them really. If they're really far away, you may be able to outrun them. But if they're
Mm,
near you, just basically be as still as possible. And they also say to get down into like a ball and just protect your face, basically protect your head as
and
much as you can.
just pray it ends.
Yeah, basically, just pray that he doesn't just eat you. Um,
Yeah.
there's a clip. This one guy he got swiped by a bear, and it like literally like cut this whole side of his head, and like basically just cut
Ugh,
his ear off. And like he was like, yeah, this is what happens when you see a grizzly bear and he don't like you. He'll
that's wild.
one swipe, you're done. This other guy talked about how he got mauled by a bear, and he said he could hear his skull crunching as the bear was trying to bite his head. And I'm like, you guys will
Jesus.
pick that over a guy who's probably too scared to even talk to you. Like, it's wild
Did
to
you
me.
see there's a person who's flying a drone through a forest, and he's going like pretty quickly along the forest line, like following like hiking paths, and and this dude just starts running towards him, and then like 20 feet past him is just a bear just chasing him, and the drone just
Oh
flies by
shit!
it, and the bear stops, looks at the drone, and then just keeps going. It's the wildest
Jeez,
video I've ever seen.
I gotta check that out. That's wild to get that on camera. This dude's like running for his life.
Well,
You're
that's the
just
thing. He's
sitting up
just
in your drone.
flying this drone, like having a good time, like, oh, I'm gonna show people this nice trail, and then this dude is just running for his life, and a bear is just
Yeah,
hauling behind him.
they get cooking. I'm pretty sure bears can get up into like the 20s for like mile-an-hour speeds. Like they
And
get up there.
in the woods, you're not safe anywhere because they'll climb a tree faster than you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's why you're pretty much toast if a bear chases you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Speaking of
yeah,
bears, we're
so
bears. We're bears.
what's
We're bears.
bigger? It's like that. There's like that wrestler in Russia that like has a bear or something and like goes to see him
Yeah.
every once in a while and like wrestles him. And he's like makes all these noises to like for like companionship.
Women are asked to choose
Um,
between men and a bear. I said, why choose?
I could be both.
Yeah.
I'm bigger than one. I'm the bear. I'm bigger than the bear. Just so you know.
No, no, bigger
It's
than
like
a
the
human.
I'm bigger than all humans, but not a bear. Um, so we
Lying on your
figured,
resume. Yeah, I'm Derek Lunsford. How you doing?
but it says your name is Christoph Knoll. Yeah, but I am Derek Lunsford though. It's my alias.
That's my stage name.
Yeah, it's my stage and social media name.
You can
That's
do
what I
that, right?
am.
You can register under a stage name. You don't have to go by your real name.
I don't know. That's actually a really good question. Maybe in the
Next show, I
IFBB,
want
perhaps.
next show I want you to put Derek Lunsford as your stage name.
I'll just put winner, overall winner.
And then
Just
if for some
identify as
reason
the
you get
winner.
like if you get like sixth place or something like that, you're like Derek Lunsford, sixth place winner at IFBB amateur
Some
show.
NPC show in the middle of nowhere. Everybody's like, "What the hell? Derek Lunsford got sixth at an amateur show, and he just won the Olympia."
Controversy.
You'd have to be like, just come in like complete full off season, like Lee Priest, Dirty Bulk off season to ever
Well, the
place
funny thing
bad.
is, pro bodybuilders off season will still win an amateur show.
It depends. It depends on the pro because some pros do very strong dirty bulk.
Well,
Jay
yeah,
Cutler,
not
Lee
like
Priest,
I was gonna
but
say, not like that Jay Cutler picture, but like I don't know. I have a feeling like uh, Hadi Chupin, for example, he would probably be able to do it. Like I've never seen that dude go
yeah, I
super
could see that.
down a dirty bulk.
Yeah, give him probably like 2-3 weeks to just like cut back a bit and do a water cut, and you probably do pretty decent. He's got the
Yeah,
size, like he's going to outsize everybody there, so it's a matter just of
exactly.
conditioning. And he's got the posing, he's going to beat everybody in posing, so just a matter of conditioning. So if you can just do a water cut, and he's already pretty lean, yeah, I could see that.
But he's there for men's physique. He's not there for men's open.
Then he would get wrecked. He would place well at all. He's too big. Does not have the look. He'd actually, well, the NPC, I want to say, is adopting it soon, but he would be out of the weight cap by a long shot, especially the IFBB weight cap for men's physique. He'd be way out of the
Yeah.
weight cap, not even close. So that would disqualify him right off the bat.
Yeah.
But
before we get cracking into that topic that we're gonna get into, did you see the Ryan Garcia stuff?
no, what's going on
Ryan
with that?
Garcia, about a month, maybe 3 weeks ago, fought
Oh,
as
that's
a
right.
boxer,
Yes.
and in his pre-test or pre-fight drug test and his post-fight drug test, he failed both of them for ostarine, and then afterwards said, "I don't even know what steroids are," and it took everything in me not to go on a comment like berserk streak because I want to be like, "It's not a steroid, it's a SARM."
actually, it's a lipo. No, that whole thing's stupid. Because yeah, Ostrin could theoretically help you out. It's very hit or miss. SARMs are very like either they work or they don't for you. And what pissed me off more than anything is how fast he immediately got like ostracized by everybody. Like um fucking Conor McGregor was like, "You piece of shit, like I stuck my neck out for you." He's like, "I'm never doing that again. Like you can't be doing that, you can't be taking steroids and shit." But then Conor McGregor is the one who abused the rules and just pumped himself full of
well,
testosterone when he was
there's
trying
a
to recover.
giant loophole in UFC rules. So
It's
theoretically,
bullshit.
McGregor was just taking advantage of the currently written rules.
Yeah, that which I understand that. So like I'm not mad at him for doing that, but I'm upset that he's like, you can't be taking steroids and all that to give yourself a competitive edge. But then you're the one who's doing it. And testosterone is infinitely more effective than ostarine is. Like that's
Yeah,
the baseline for like pretty much every single steroid out there. So for him to be like, "Oh, like you can't be doing that. You're taking away from the sport, blah blah blah." It's all bullshit. And then supposedly like he like faked the weight or something, like faked the
he
weigh-in or
failed.
something.
Wait, he was 3 pounds over,
Then why was he allowed to fight in the first place? Isn't that the
and
whole point of the weigh-in?
this is what the whole conversation is. He failed weigh-in and he failed the pre-fight test, but they didn't give the results of the pre-fight test till after the fight.
Yeah,
So
that's all bullshit.
there's a lot. He's now being investigated because he in boxing, I think, I don't know if it's a specific state or where he did it, but he was allowed to place a bet on himself, and he put $2 million on himself to win, and the payout was like 10 million because he was the underdog going into this fight.
Hmm.
And he cashed out on that bet.
I mean, that's tough. I think you should be able to bet with yourself. I don't think you should be able to bet
Mm,
against yourself because you could throw it. But
yeah,
if you bet like I'm gonna win, you don't really know if you're gonna win. But if you bet you could lose, you know you could lose. Like you could easily just
yeah,
lose. But so I don't really find any problem with that. But it's just like it just shows the corruption because they clearly want to make their money off them by running the fight
yeah,
regardless of the conditions. Like that's the whole point of the drug tests, of the weigh-ins, and all that is for fair competition. But then they lose their money. They don't get the money from that fight. And everything's already been booked and all the tickets have been bought. Like it'd be a nightmare just because
yeah.
he failed the drug test. So it's like it's all just, and then it's like supposedly Ryan Garcia was coming out about some sort of like child sex trafficking shit or something, I guess, or
He's the
something
one who
like
tried
that.
to blow the lid on Diddy.
Yeah, so like, and then all of a sudden people were trying to like, it was like this that's coincidence that
No.
right after he's never been positive on a drug test, but then right after he went after Diddy, all of a sudden he's positive
Well,
on a drug test. And
so from the other side of the coin, though, Derek from More Plates, More Dates covered this in one of his episodes, and he talks about Oster, and he's like, this is not something that will appear in your system, even in minute traces, unless you're taking it, because I think he said, like, even one, like, 0.01 of a microgram or something like that is still going to show up when it's Osterine. So, since it's not naturally replicating in the body, if any at all shows up, you were abusing something. So, or not abusing, but taking it. So and when I say he, Ryan Garcia claimed it was from a like third-party ashwagandha pill he was taking, and just like the compounds got mixed or something like that. But why are you taking shady supplements when you're worth, you know, an
yeah,
incredible amount of money, right? Like,
and
it doesn't make sense.
it's not hard to get like clean ashwagandha because it's a pretty
Yeah,
cheap supplement in the first place. Like it's like if you wanted to spend a little bit more money, you can get like from the fucking source ashwagandha,
yeah, but
you know.
Nature's Valley ashwagandha, but you can get it at Walmart. I put money, like, I'll put my own money on that being completely clean. Like,
Of Austrian specifically, which
yeah,
also happens to potentially give him a competitive edge. It's not like it was like fucking Rad 140 or something that would like make him fat. Like it's specifically one that would theoretically help him. I mean, I wouldn't be
I
surprised if he has taken Austrian, but
from personal experience, I fucking love Osterine. I I only was, I think it was a month with that, and it was the best month. That combined with LGD was my best month I've ever done.
yeah, don't ever take steroids then. Because then you'll open Pandora's box. You're like, fuck, that was it for SARMs? You kidding me? I'd feel like shit if I took SARMs right after coming off roids. If I came off everything I've taken, or every like the couple, you know, the thing that I'm on right now, if I just came off that and immediately started taking SARMs, you'd be like, well, all my gains are gone.
Well, I'd be
Or
getting
just
texts
immediately
from you every
disappear.
day. I'd be getting texts from you every day, just different things you've tried mixing your SARMs with. Tried pink lemonade today.
No real gains in hypertrophy. So tomorrow I'll be trying chalky milk from Yahoo. So, but
Yoo-hoo.
Yahoo, that's what it was, not Yahoo. That's the email now. Not a, it
Yeah,
was
that's the
search engine.
browser.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that's not milk. Nesquik, some Nesquik chocolate in strawberry milk. You just know that strawberry milk is vegan because it comes from strawberries.
I didn't know that, but now that I know that, I will go put my tinfoil hat on, and I will continue being
Hmm.
a true vegan. By the way, did you know that steak is also vegan because it consented for me to kill it and eat it?
Steak is actually a crypto trade, or is actually a betting platform. So steak is vegan.
I keep seeing
That's
these
immediately what I thought when
ads.
you said steak.
I keep seeing these ads for it's whatever the it's still meat is their slogan, and it's just plant-based stuff. And they're the most recent one, that because it pops up on Peacock all the time. I get the ads on there, and the most recent one was like I think it was like Italian meatballs, but it's still meat. And I can just imagine an Italian going like
Papa
just
the boop, this
shredding
ain't no meatball. My
it.
mama did not make it. Some shit like that. What was I about to say? Yeah, after the strawberry milk thing, this guy's like, show me the tit on a strawberry. But figured so something recently that I learned about that I had no idea was really a thing is MYO sets or MYO reps, whatever you want to call it. I kind of see it as like sets more than reps. Um So I think we can kind of dive into like a couple of the weird like niche sets that like people don't really talk about, like
Mm.
MYO sets or reps, cluster sets, and then also straight sets. I feel people don't talk about anymore. Um, it it used to be huge. Cluster sets used to be like these sets to do, right? Um, but now we're at the point where straight sets are used so infrequently, people don't really even know what it is.
Mm.
Um, so diving into MYO sets, basically the idea of MYO sets or MYO reps is you go into a workout and or like let's just say you go into like a movement, right? And you already know where you're at with that movement. So like MYO sets is taking like experience lifting into account. Like you kind of need to know your RPE, like basically what your max is, what your one rep max is, where you are at with effort throughout the sets and reps and stuff like that. So it takes that into account. So let's say you know all of that. You know what weight your one rep max is, what your RPE is for certain weights and reps and all that. So you have an activation set, which is RPE 8. So you want to aim for RPE 8. So typically, what your activation set is probably going to be like 12 to 14 reps or something like that, where you have a couple left in the chamber afterwards, right? So like you failure probably like 16, maybe 14 if you're aiming for 12 reps for your activation set. You have a couple reps left in the chamber. And then once you do that set, you keep the same weight and then you do very short rest, like 15 to 30 seconds or so. And then you do 5 reps of that same weight until you get down to like 3 reps of failure. So like 3 reps you fail, that's your movement's done now. So like that could take anywhere from 3 sets to 10 sets. It don't matter. You just do it from 5 all the way until you fail on 3. You can fail on 5, but as long as you get 5 reps, all that matters is you get 3 full range of motion failure reps, and then you're done your training set, or like you're done that movement, and then that's it. You move on to the next movement. To me, it's like, who the fuck came up with this? Like, why would you? That doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand like, if you're going
Yeah.
for hypertrophy, you're not really going to be doing that little number of reps. I could see this as like a like power building thing where it's like you want to be strong, but you also want to look decent. So this could be like your like mid movement, like you're like your deadlifts or rack pulls or something like that while you're doing like a back day. And then like everything else is like you got like pull downs, rows, stuff like that you do like 8 to 14 reps or 8 to 12 reps or whatever. But like this is like the one that's like you go crazy hard on to like build up your strength, something like that. I could see this being useful for, but like hypertrophy, I just don't see it.
Well, if there's one thing I know about building, let's take arms for example, it's where you only do 3 reps of bicep curls, and then you're done, and then you rest and do another
According to
3,
Mike
and then
Menser,
that's I work out for 20 minutes every 3 weeks, and I'm a bodybuilder.
Mike Menser, you only train about 2-3 days a week for about a half hour, and then I'm done. But the intensity is so insane. Blah blah
Yeah,
blah. That's Mike
but
Menser talking for you.
I agree. This is not a hypertrophy based workout style. I could definitely see it for. I mean, you said powerlifting. I could see just like a certain style of like general fitness where, and not for like longevity. This is like a maybe like one of you know every month or so. Like it's definitely like a way to see what your maxes are, and then continue to see like tracked over a period of time. But I would not see someone doing this as a consistent thing for like we're talking about. We focus on hypertrophy here because we want to build muscle, and this just isn't going to result in that. You brought up deadlifting. I think for any of the like back building things. So I was thinking rack pulls or bent over rows, stuff like that. I can see it for that, but again, it's not a longevity thing. Like this would just be like a good like a blast. Like do this like once every couple weeks, once a month, something like that, just to shock your system. I can see it working then, but consistently, it's just ridiculous.
Reading what people have to say about it, about MYO-Reps and MYO-Sets and stuff like that, is a lot of them use it for like isolate movements and like really small muscles. So like one guy
Mm,
said he uses it on forearms because forearms you can't really like overload with a lot of weight. So you could do like lightweight for the RPE8 at least, and then kind of just burn out for the rest of the sets on your forearms. So I mean, I could see that, I guess. But doing some research about it, there was no like real science behind it backing whether or not it's effective. And if someone's going to do a test on it, it would be interesting to see somebody making that sort of just because like how would you test it? Because it's like, would you do all of your movements like that for 6 months? Or
ugh.
because if it's only good for isolate movements, like how would we know if it's really super effective? Because someone might be doing a lot of compound movements and then all of a sudden they start this test and now they're doing isolate movements and they start growing. It's like, oh, it works. But it's like, no, you've been doing compound movements this entire time. So of course, like that specific head of your biceps is going to grow really well because you're targeting it specifically, you know?
Yeah,
So I just wonder like what the actual test would look like.
it's
Um,
definitely a garage built workout style. Like someone was in their garage, was like, I'm gonna come up with something cool and bring it back to my local Crunch Fitness. And
all they have is like one cable stack. Like, what could I
exactly, like
do?
how can I abuse this permanently?
Yeah, I gotta keep mixing it up instead of blow my brains out doing the same movements over and over again. Gonna mix it up.
But
You
that's
know
what I mean.
what?
Like
These are
from a
my sets. My MYO-Reps. That's what they're called. MYO-Reps. They're my reps.
we're taking back working out. This is an empowerment movement. That's what we just
Yeah,
discovered.
it's the my two movements, my two reps, but
Yeah,
it's RPE. Two left in the chamber. You got two left in the tank. So it's my two MYO two reps. I don't know.
you guys have seen the blacked out American flag. You've seen the blue line American flag. Now instead of the stars, each of those stars represents a set of 3 to 5 reps.
Yeah, there's a
Mayo.
million fucking sets. So he's like, "What's RPE?" I've been doing MYO reps for like 6 months. What's RPE? It's like, oh, ooh, wasting your time. All right, but yeah. So this is just a weird one. I really know personally. I don't really know what I think of it.
Wonder if there's an
Like reading
origin
into
story
it.
behind it.
Let me look it up. Where did MYO reps start?
The secret Norwegian method. Oh boy.
Of course, they're fucking Norwegian. Mid 2000s. Yeah,
It,
of course, making us look bad.
and the book titled MYO-Reps: The Secret Norwegian Method to Build Muscle in 70% Less Time by Borge Fat. Oh, I can't say that. Fagerli.
All right, so it says on an accessory or supplemental move, choose a weight where you can perform 5 to 12 reps. Start with this activation set and bring yourself to 1 to 2 reps away from failure. Rack your weights and rest for up to 10 deep breaths. This period can be varied from 5 to 30 seconds of rest, depending on your comfort level. Unrack the weight after resting and perform 2 to 5 mini sets of about 2 to 5 additional reps. For each additional MYO-Rep set, aim to stay in the 1 to 2 rep range from failure range. Or 1 to 2 reps away from failure range. On your final set, it is okay to train to failure. Finish your MYO-Reps when you have trained to failure once you lose a rep from your initial mini set or once you have performed 5 sets of MYO-Reps. Fucking
So
so complex for no
from
reason.
we're both experienced lifters, right? And in the gym, we don't really time our rests anymore because we've gotten to the point where we just know, right? Like if we're doing like 30
Yeah.
seconds in between, we're able to pretty much know that. Can
It's
you
like when your alarm
imagine?
goes off in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then
You'll
like that
know.
day but like that day where you don't set the alarm and you still wake up that time. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah, your biological clock.
exactly. Let's say you're at the gym and instead of seeing someone like holding up their phone to like track the time in between, you're like, "Hey, how long before your next set? 8 more of these.
Yeah, you have to like count your damn deep breaths. That's crazy. I would go insane counting
That's
my
my
deep breaths.
I can barely count the amount of reps I do in a set. How are you gonna expect me to count like deep reps?
Exactly. Good point. I forget to count reps in like every set I fucking do because I'm so focused on the set, like when I'm training. Then I'm like,
Yep.
fuck, was that 9 or 10 reps? It's yo, don't even get me started on like alternating bicep curls. I'll start on like 1 on my right arm and somehow end up like 14 on my right arm. I'm like, where did I fuck up? Because this was
See,
odd and now it's even.
I can keep myself in check when it's like a bigger movement because I'll just like, for example, if I'm doing like a decline press, I'll just be like, all right, I lost count, I'll just go to failure or something like that. But with arms
Yeah.
can take so much. Like if I'm doing like a tricep extension, I'll be like, shit, when do I end?
Yeah. I don't know. I could never count because oh, dude, even like sometimes like I'll count like drinking water. You ever do that? Like in the gym, you'll be drinking water and you're so used to counting reps. Every single gulp is like another rep. I do that shit all
Never
the
done
time. I don't
that.
know why. Oh, it's so annoying. I hate it. I count because I'm so used to counting all the time in the
Mm.
gym. I mess up the counts all the time, but I count so often. When I drink, I'll count. So like counting my breaths, you will consciously then be breathing, and that would suck. You
No.
know, like consciously always having to think about breathing when you're training.
And
I
like
hate
the thing
that.
is, like we train with intensity, we train for hypertrophy, but it's also like we've talked about this all the time. It's also like our escape from the world going to the gym. And I like to go brain dead when I'm working out. Like obviously in a rep, like for like if we take decline press for example, I'm specifically thinking about where I want it to hit in my chest, like mind muscle connection. But outside of that, I have absolutely nothing going on upstairs. Like I'm brain dead because I like to just detach myself from everything. And this forces me to now count even in my off time. Like, that's not gonna work for me.
Yeah. Sometimes my problem is my brain is too active when I'm
Well,
training. I'm
that's
so
your
focused on other
ADD
things
there.
sometimes. Yes, like yesterday, like it happened yesterday during legs. I ended up spending like an hour and 15 at the gym because I just kept like looking stuff up on my phone about one particular thing, but I kept looking up like different things about it. So I ended up
Why
resting
are the
5
frogs
fucking minutes
gay?
between sets. Yeah. Fucking CIA hiding frogs gay? Question mark. Google search. Incognito mode, just in case.
Yep, private browsing.
Right, Tor. You have Tor browser on my phone. Browsing the dark web while I'm in between sets. Trying to buy gay frogs from the dark web.
all in
Have them
between
in
a
my
leg
tank.
press set.
Yep. Just and I haven't even like changed the weight on one side. I like added a plate to one side. Haven't changed on the right side yet. Just hit the left side. I'm already
What
Googling
are you
it.
hitting today?
Couldn't wait to
Left.
get to it. Left. I'm hitting top right to bottom left. Right arm, left leg. Stupid
Opposites
ass
day.
fucking splits. Yeah. Um so
But
another
I was gonna say, moral of the story is MYO-Reps,
yeah.
stay away from them. Not needed.
Yeah, it's just so this says it may look complicated on paper, but once you start practicing MYO-Reps frequently, you'll get the hang of this technique to maximize your rep effectiveness.
Shut up,
And then they're
nerd.
like, but it's yeah, fucking nerd. Shut up. So yeah, it's literally just 10 breaths, your activation set, 12, maybe 14 reps, and then you do 5 reps. Making sure you have 1 to 2 in the tank or so.
I'm seeing
It's just
stuff that it's specific for like people who have like significant time constraints for working out. But in my mind, if I had to continue to do sets in the 3 to 5 range until I just couldn't do them anymore, that would take more time, I feel like. I don't know.
yeah, it could, especially if you're doing like 8 to 12 reps and you do like a lightweight and your rest is like 30 seconds between each set. Um,
Yeah.
then yeah, it could take more time than that just because you're doing less rest overall and all the reps are pretty much banged out in one set, or multiple sets are banged out in one set. And you don't
Yeah.
need to like go to 1 to 2 reps from failure. You know, you don't need to push yourself that hard. Granted, sometimes I think it's good for people to do that. Like if you're in the gym for like a couple of hours a day, make it like 1 week you do a session in the gym where you do everything you normally do in a half hour or
Yeah.
like close to it, and you'll be like, fuck, that was a good ass workout. Like if you
Well,
stay focused the whole time.
that was my change when I first got with the coach and went to Empire. Like that was my whole thing. Like I was working out like 2-3 hours at a time, and he got me in and out in 45 minutes, and I was like crawling to the door.
Yeah, exactly. I remember one of the best pumps I've ever had. I still remember it to this day. Was in Van Ark. Had a half hour for a delt day, but usually I spend like a good hour. And I did all the same movements, pretty close to same reps and sets. Not quite. You know, I was pretty like steamed off by the end. Like I was pretty exhausted, but the pump was crazy.
Hmm.
It was crazy because I just kept going. You know, I just had very little rest. And what I would do is like if I was hitting front delts, I made sure to hit rear delts during the rest of my front delts. So like I was doing interior sets on top of like supersets and stuff to get out of there faster.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to hit the gym, but I only had a half hour. By the time I got there and when I had to leave, I had a half hour. So I ended up doing it in like 26, 27 minutes or something like that. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. I still remember it times. Um, but the other two sets or reps or whatever you would call it, one was called cluster sets. Um, Basically, how cluster sets work is depending on your like goal, whether that's strength or hypertrophy or in quotations power for like Olympic lifting or something like that, determines how long your actual rest is. So like an example on barbend.com says for power, your rest intervals are probably like 15 to 30 seconds. Strength is anywhere from 10 to 30. And then hypertrophy or muscle gain is 10 to 20 seconds per rep or per set. But then when we're talking about like the way the actual sets work is you'll do like, let's say you're aiming for like 8 to 10 reps or 8 to 12 reps or something like that. You would break up that set or that number of reps into like 3 micro sets. So it'd be like
Hmm.
instead of like 12 reps, you could do like 4-4-4 or something like that. Or you could do like 5-4-3 reps, but take only like 10 seconds of rest in between each of those rep ranges. And then you hit your 12. So it's like pause training or something. It's like you're kind of like pausing because like I wouldn't even like
Well, so here's my thing
I
on it,
mean
right? Let's take bench press for example, like a flat bench press, and let's say for this you're doing not like a your max weight, but let's say like weight that you're still gonna struggle with, like because you want to get a good
mhm,
pump and get a good workout in. Let's say you do this. Let's do 3-3-3 with, and it says, but for hypertrophy, 10 to 20 seconds, so 15-second intervals. All right, so 3-3-3 with 15
yeah.
second intervals. You do your three. Here's the question. Do you hold it and expend the energy for 15 seconds, like just at the top, or do you re-rack it, but then to unrack it, that takes energy too. So you're then burning through more of it unless you have someone like a training partner to give you that lift off every single time. Like what are you going with there? Because to me, I feel like you burn like too much energy either way you look at it. Like if I'm holding it at the top for 15 seconds, that's going to be tough in itself, honestly. And then if I'm, re-racking it and then taking it off, and I don't have someone there work like to give me a lift off, then that's another little bit of energy expended to just get it off the rack. So I don't know. I think for me it would depend what kind of movement you're doing. Bench press is obviously a very specific one. Um, so I feel like this could work for other movements.
I mean, my opinion of it would be if you're able to do it. So like let's say you're doing bench press and you do like 8 reps and it's like 3-3-2 and you get 10 seconds of rest in between each like micro set or whatever, right? I would say at the top of 3, you put it back on the rack because like in the hypertrophy example, it's saying RPE is like 6 to 8, so like 70 to 80% of your 1 rep max. So it should be relatively easy-ish to move, especially if you're pretty, you've been lifting for a while. It should be pretty easy to move. Like for me, my 1 rep max is probably like approaching 300 or something like that. So like to do this number, this amount of weight, like when I'm feeling strong, like let's just say like 200 or so pounds, maybe a little less. Like I could throw around 185 like pretty comfortably, for like a good like 10 to 12 reps at least. So to do the set of 3 reps, putting it back on the rack at the top of 3, resting 10 seconds, getting it back off the rack, do 3 more, back on, and then 2 more, I think it would be decent. I wouldn't really have too much struggle with that. And then there's also like you got to take into account that sometimes there's like for instance, when I was at Megaflex, the barbell bench rack like came out when you were ready. So like you would pull it and it would be straight above you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you just when you lift it, it would fall back. So like that made it easier to rack it, unrack it. We'll really just unrack it. Racking is the same as usual. You just lift it up and put it back. But unrack it makes it a lot easier. So you could even for that, you could like rack it and then pull it straight above you and then keep it balanced there for 10 seconds. You're still holding on to it in the same place you were before, but you're not holding the weight. And then when you're ready, just do a slight lift and then you do 3 more.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the equipment you're using.
There's also one other area we didn't even think about. I'm gonna take my paws down at the bottom. I'm gonna just let the weight sit on my chest, and then just sit there for 15 seconds. Take my 10 long breaths, and then ooh.
Yeah, just counting your breaths while it's crushing your rib cage. 10.
And that's why I never lift more than the bar.
I only do the stretching plastic PVC bar.
I add weight removers.
I do a million reps.
I add helium balloons instead of adding weight.
It helps me lift it, and I just do a ton of reps. It's adding resistance, actually. So instead of doing curls, you're doing tricep pushdowns with helium balloons.
Imagine fucking up a movement so bad. Yeah, fucking up movement so bad that instead of bicep curls, it's actually a push down because the weight is resisting so much.
It's like, yeah, I want to do bicep curls, but let me put it on the top cable. That should work, right? And just lean back a little bit. They don't lean back far enough. All of a sudden, they're doing tricep pushdowns. Why is this on the other side of my arm? Why am I feeling this in the wrong place? Oh.
Well, you know what's funny is
yeah. I was going to say, I saw this video yesterday, and this fucking guy at a gym, he's a trainer, and he had his athlete or client or whatever in a fucking leg extension machine, right? For quads. And this fucking nincompoop decided it was smart to have this lady in this leg extension, but I don't know what the weight was on the actual machine, but then put 3 plates on her legs on top of her quads, and after each like set, pulling a plate off, kind of like you're doing like drop sets. And I'm like, you idiot! That's not how it works.
But it's on top of her quads. Are we compressing the muscle? Is that what we're going with? Is this recovery?
What he was doing was thinking that he was adding weight to the movements, and when you strip a plate, he'd strip the weight. But he's not. He's not changing shit. All he's doing is just taking less weight off her legs. So one of the comments was like, all pain and no gains or something like that. And I'm like, literally though, like you're just crushing your legs
having
with 135 pounds.
3 plates is like decent weight to have on top of you. Like that sucks.
Yeah, they were bumper plates. So they weren't like metal and sharp or anything like that. They were pretty flat.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you should not be a fucking trainer if you don't understand basic physics of the machinery, and like, if you like, I can understand like certain machines. It's like, okay, how does this, how does this work? And then you like have to figure it out and like, okay, I
Yeah.
guess I kind of get it. But then it's like, dude, you're just so blatantly wrong. Like you'd have to like literally like it's like a flat earther. Your twisted logic is so you think it's so like real that you think that it's fact. Like, oh, this is the way that I think, so therefore it must be true. Like that's how this guy is like, oh, this makes sense to me. So this must be how it is. And it's like, no, you're an idiot. Like
Yeah.
you don't understand how it works. But and then if you even look at a lot of the diagrams, it'll tell you like how it works and how the physics works and stuff like that and where to load the weight.
But then you go to like Vanarchy or something like that, where we have some machines so old that the stickers are peeled off, and you're just like, "Oh, gotta figure this one out."
Yeah. They're just like super faded or scratched off somehow or something like that. You get
It's
this
like
weird ass contraption. You're like, okay, all right, let's try this.
it's like the curl machine that we had talked about, where
Oh yeah,
you sit in like this.
your arms are up high.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is weird. That was me getting that the pullover machine, the gym I go to now. It's where it's like I had to get into it a weird way because I'm so used to doing this. Like my hands are close together, but this pullover machine is the opposite. Your hands are further out. So when I hate it. I'm like, who the fuck made this? It's like you're just imagine doing a pullover, but your hands are super, super far out. So now it's like you're purposely like twisting your lat, dude. Like who made this?
Yeah.
I hate it. I've tried sitting differently. I've tried adjusting the machine and I'm like, I don't like any of this. It don't make any sense to me. I don't get it.
It does take
I don't know who made it.
it does take like a seating change or two to find the right spot for a pullover. I'll give that. But
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to figure out like how you want to drive the weight too. Like for me on the hammer strength pullover, I drive it from my hands, but like on a Nautilus, I'll drive it from like my elbows. It's just the way the machine's built. But like to hit my back, both are achieved the same way. It's just one I use my hands, the other one's just driven from the pads underneath my elbows. Yeah. Just depends on the machine. But also with the hammer strength one, the problem with the hammer strength one specifically is that the bars are angled in so sharp, I can't like grab the bars. Like where it would be for me to be straight, like my arms to be straight, the bar isn't there. It's lower than that because it's angled in. So I have to like angle my arms in order to even grab the fucking bar. It's annoying. I hate that. But Nautilus
resting like on your forearm.
Yeah, just doing like this shit. Oh, perfect. Nice lat pump. And also destroying my shoulder joints.
Yeah. You're hearing a clack, 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 clack as you do it every time from your shoulder.
Yeah, you're just cracking your shoulders like you're popping your shoulders out every set. I did fuck up my shoulder the other day on delt day. I went so hard on delts on Monday that like my left shoulder was toast, dude. Like I couldn't even finish my workout because I did reverse drop set lateral raises. So like it's kind of like it's not necessarily unlike cluster sets where basically I start off with like 15, I think it was 15 pounds. And then I do 20 reps of that, immediately go into 20 pounds of 15 reps, and then immediately go into 25 pounds of 10 reps. So you're going down in weight, but your reps are higher than usual. So you're doing a total of 50 reps. Or no, 45 by the time you're done. And you're increasing the weight throughout the set. So by the time you're more fatigued, you're now lifting more weight. So I went so hard on that. My left shoulder was so fucked. I couldn't even do like, typically I throw triceps in with my delts. I couldn't even do like a push down the cable machine. My shoulder was so fucked up.
Oh,
I don't know. I think it was just the muscle. I think it was just the muscle because the joint felt like I was fine the next day. So I think I just like burned out the muscle so bad that like it was just toast. It sucked. Yeah. But the last one that people don't really talk about, a lot of people know about. Excuse me, sorry for the yawning. I don't know what it is with me yawning in this bright white light in my face.
Because you don't have your usual coffee.
Yeah, I mean, even with coffee, I'm still yawning. I don't know why.
That's true.
It's just for some reason when I genuinely think it's the white light for some reason.
Get a
Um,
compilation of all the times you've yawned on screen. That's a whole episode in
oh,
itself.
dude, someone's gonna clip that at some point. I could probably do it, but I'd have to go through and find them all. And
Yeah,
like some of them don't even look like yawns. I'll like breathe, kind of like yawn into my mouth a little bit so that it's
yeah,
not
trying to
annoying.
hide
Because
it.
like you'll be talking, and I'm like trying to hide it, so I'm not like it's not obvious. But the next one's straight sets, which used to be huge, used to be very, very popular. But nobody talks about them now. Everybody talks about pyramid sets or 8 to 12 reps, 8 to 14 reps, stuff like that. That's been proven to like more like work for more people, like generally speaking, 8 to 12, 8 to 14, lowering
Mm,
weight, increasing weight, lowering reps tends to work for more people. But straight sets also can work for people. And if it works for you, that's what you need to stick to. For some reason, straight sets are just like, for a few people, it just is the perfect way to train. It's the
Jay
only way that
Cutler.
they train is, yeah, Jay Cutler is a great example. He was actually the foundation, I think, of the way my dad used to train, and the way my dad taught me to train was 3 sets of 10. He always did 3 sets of 10. Um, so I think that was kind of like an effect of that. But then you also have Kai Green, who did, I think it was 3 sets of 20 for everything. He always did 3 sets of 20. So he's doing twice as many reps, but therefore the weight was very low. So like whenever he does videos of Jefferson squats, I want to say he doesn't get more than like a plate on like Jefferson squats. And
Mm,
like Jefferson squats really aren't like that heavy of a movement, you know? So seeing that, you're like, all right, this dude's doing a lot of reps, a lot of sets. So straight sets are tough because as you lift, you get more fatigued, right? So that's why you go down in reps, but slightly increase the weight. That way, you're still stimulating the muscle group, but you're compensating for the fatigue. But with straight sets, you typically stick with the same weight, maybe increase it depending on how the first set felt. But let's say you are increasing the weight, you're getting more fatigued and making the sets harder each set. So it's harder to stick to that 10 rep count. But if you could stick to it, you could actually genuinely see the weight increase over time. Like that's one cool thing
yeah,
about straight sets is that if you're always doing the same reps, you will see the weight increase over time. Where
because you
with
just build
like
that endurance.
exactly. And with the 8 to 12, 8 to 14, it's harder to see it directly because by the time you build up to like 10 reps on your final set, you then have to drop it to 8 and then increase the weight. So like you're seeing different reps and different weight essentially all the time. So it's hard to see the progress. You have to see it on a chart. That's why there's like tons of apps now that like you can log your weight. You can see on a chart like your actual like volume over time, and you will gradually see it go up. Sometimes it'll flatline, maybe go down depending on the day if you're feeling tired or something like that. But overall, the overall trending line, like let's say look at like a year of a specific movement, you should see it gradually going up. That should be the trend line. It'll
Yeah,
be a bunch of mountains and valleys along the way, just like really just any physical progress, cutting, bulking, all of that. It's going to be overall, if you look at the grand scheme of things, it is a trending upward line. You will have your ups and downs along it, but on average, it's going to be going up, right? And that's the thing with straight sets is that it may not feel like you're increasing weight or whatever. Like it may not feel like you're making progress, but you will see that trend line much easier than other people will.
yeah. And I was
So
gonna say bringing, straight sets back into the conversation is good too, because at least from my perspective, like I get to talk to a lot of the, young people and future, you know, athletes, lifters, whatever, just because teaching and whatnot. But so many of them they always come in and say like, new PR, I moved this weight, and I was like, great, who cares? Like that's not gonna do PRs aren't gonna do anything for you. So I would prefer that they even talk about, 3 sets of 10 in comparison to, one set or one rep max. Like, sure, it's great for ego, but in terms of actually building yourself out, which as a young person should be your only goal, like you should only be focused on how far can you take your body. Like you should be focusing on stuff like this.
I mean, I think if you have a use for strength, like linebackers and stuff like that, or linemen or whatever they're called in football, like shit like that. Like that
Tell
strength
me
could
you
be.
watch football without telling me you watch football.
I always get them mixed up because I'm like linebacker, and I'm like, yeah, that's the correct. But then aren't they also linemen?
What?
Like the
This isn't
group of them isn't
F1
that
racing.
linemen? I don't understand anything that doesn't have four wheels and an engine. I understand that way more than I understand men throwing a ball. Um, yeah, it's so like for that you would have a use for the actual strength, right? Where it needs to be explosive. Each down you need to push someone, and it only lasts a few seconds really. So you do need that explosive strength. So I can understand, focusing on 1 rep maxes or something like that for that particular use case. If you are on the younger side, I think building a good foundation, learning more about how the human body works and how different training styles work and stuff like that is imperative. And I also think that finding what works best for you is what's important as well. Because over time that may change. You may find that, while you're a teenager, you prefer straight sets or something, but then by the time you're, mid-20s, you might be on pyramid sets or something. Like it'll adapt over time, and you need to change it as well. Like don't ever always stick to one way of training forever. Change it up. But straight sets, I think, is a really good, at least a starting place for a lot of people, because straight steps are a lot easier to understand than like 8 to 12 reps or 8 to 14 or pyramid sets or drop sets or back off sets, stuff like that. Like 3 sets of 10 is very easy to understand. It's okay. You're going to do this 3 times, and each time you're going to get 10 reps. And we're going to slightly increase the weight each set, because that first set was pretty easy. Now your second set's going to be a little difficult. And then your last set, you're going to be pretty much toast on that movement. That's how it should go. And you should do pretty short rests as well, like 60 seconds or something like that.
10 labored breaths.
Yeah. 13 and a half short breaths. The second you stop lifting, you start hyperventilating. You start freaking out, having a panic attack.
Increase your heart rate and blood pressure.
Yeah, you just try to make yourself freak out a little bit. You gotta put on a blindfold and put on like earmuffs so you don't hear or see anything. And you just focus on counting.
What do you do for your rest? I waterboard myself, throws a towel over. Why do you have a training partner? My training partner waterboards me, and
when I'm on the bench, he puts a towel over my face, and then in between sets, he just drops water on my face.
Not even in between; it's during.
Just try not to die. You're just repping it out. Shock the body. You got to shock the body.
Anything.
The brain doesn't realize you're training. It won't feel heavy. It'll feel light.
How to truly activate fight or flight.
And you got to fight. There is no flight. You got 3 plates in your chest. I'll stop waterboarding you when you finish 12 reps. Imagine Tom Platz like 5 more while waterboarding someone.
As you're actually dying.
This guy's like, kill me. He's like, I'm trying to kill you. I'm waterboarding you. You're going to die.
Now,
I'm committing war crimes.
Does this type of training work? No,
you should be able to breathe. I saw this. What was this? One of his more clickbaity titles? Andrew Eubanks gets mogged on or something. It was like 8.5 minute video. It says Andrew Eubanks gets mogged on. I'm like, I'm not watching 1 second of this video. Like, who is watching this?
I mean, a lot of
it
stuff
so
is
funny.
clickbait.
It's very clickbaity. And it ends up being like kind of ish related to ish that. Like it might have been like
there'll be actual content that's like hidden within it because you have to look past all the bullcrap.
Yeah, like he might be like, oh, Andrew Eubanks gets mogged on, but it's really he's talking about some other dude that like looks huge on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess if you compare them side by side, he gets mogged on, but you're the one doing that. And then I saw this thing too. It was like this guy's like, it was like a 7-question like brain rot thing. This barber was like, oh, I'm gonna ask you these 7 questions, and if you get them all correct, you get a free haircut, but they're brain rot questions. And one of them was like, what does it mean when you look better than someone? This guy's like, I don't know. He says three letter word. He's like, dude, I have no idea. He goes, mog. I'm like, that's not what mogging is, you fucking idiot. Mogging is flexing on someone and being bigger than them. That's what mogging is. But
unless the word
fucking
has
brain rot.
evolved to there being a passive state of mogging, where you just walk around this.
Yeah, you just mog on. Your life is just mog. You just are mog because you're just like a supermodel is just mog, dude.
What's your name?
Resume is just like straight up mog. My nickname is Paul Moggardy. There you go.
Oh God. Mog. Middle name Mog. for your kid, Mog.
Mog. Middle name is Sigma. Yeah. Sigma Mog. Sigma Mog is their full name.
I had a kid tell me it was very Sigma of me to give homework.
That I would just no, I'd throw up. What the Sigma? I'm just so brain rot. I've been so brain rot with Eric lately. It's awful. Him and I are constantly quoting brain rot shit. Yeah, I hate it, but I also love it at the same time. It makes me laugh. But yeah, so at the end of the day, there are all these different sets and reps and all that you can do. Got to find what works best for you. MYO sets and reps, I think, aren't really that useful personally. I don't really see anybody talking about them. I don't really see anybody doing them. So therefore, they're probably not that useful.
I'm going to say, I haven't heard of them until you text me about them.
Yeah, exactly. I just recently learned about them, and they've been around supposedly for about 20 years now. So new information that's coming out now is probably not that good, most likely. It's like, I wish that's how CrossFit was. I wish how CrossFit was like, they were like, oh, it came out in early 2000s. Oh, no wonder why I haven't heard it for 20 years, because it's shit. But really, it got popular right away because this fucking idiot who had a failing gym decided to come up with his own training program that doesn't work just to save his gym. But anyways, point is, you got MYO-Reps, and you also got cluster sets. Cluster sets, I don't think work. I could see them for like a failure set. Like if you're doing like, typical 8 to 12 or something in your last set, that's till failure is like kind of like a cluster set because you're taking rest where you need to keep pushing the weight. I could see that. But outside of that, I don't really see the benefit of like specifically planning short rests in between reps, Yeah. And then we got straight sets, which have been proven to work. It's just how effective are they in comparison to other ways of training? Hard to say. Each person's a bit different. So it could be more effective. It could be less effective. Typically they're easier. They're really good beginner movement, but they could work really well into the advanced stages and be what brings you to the Olympia stage, like it did for Kai Green and Jay Cutler, and Jay Cutler ended up winning 4 times. So you never know. Kai Green only got second, which is bullshit. I think Kai Green should have won at least once.
Just like Kevin LeBron.
That's a conversation for another day. Yep. Still slept on. I mean, he's getting the recognition he deserves, but you're slept on.
Yep.
Fucking robbed a few times, arguably. But to each their own. We can't keep saying if, what if. I mean, you can't say what if he won the Olympia. It's like Max Verstappen said that, like, what if you won the race? And he was like, yeah, if my mom had a dick, she would be my dad. He's like, what do you mean, what if? That's literally what he said. It's like, that's how it is for Kevin LeBron. Like, he's probably like, yeah, but this is like, we're talking like 30 years ago, dude.
Yeah.
My mom had wheels. She'd be a bike. Like, what do you mean?
The chef thing. That one was what I was about to quote.
If you add ham to this, it'd be a British carbonara. Yeah, and if you put wheels on my mom, she'd be a bike.
My grandmother had wheels. She'd be a bike.
Yeah. Apparently, bike also means like in England or something, like bike means like slut or something like that. So like he was also to them calling his grandmother like a mean word.
Interesting.
On top of that. Yeah, that's part of the reason why they were laughing. But it was a funny reaction. That was a good clip. But anyways, yeah, so that's for you guys. I apologize for not getting anything posted last weekend. I thought I'd have the time. I had a 9-hour drive home, thinking I would have the time to get something recorded with Stoph, but it just...
He was so Sigma that he didn't record one on the way home with me.
Dude, I was just way too Sigma. I had a mog on everybody I was driving by. But yeah, so we'll be back to normal. We should be back to normal now every week. So appreciate you guys' patience. And this week we came back with some sets. Maybe next week we'll do maybe an influencer review. We'll review an influencer. We'll talk about someone. Talk about Greg Doucette.
Oh God.
Andrew Banks was mogged on. Really? No one can mog on Andrew Banks. The Banksies. Andrew, no.
Yeah, just do a whole episode with you in his voice.
And then you're Carl Weezer.
Yeah.
Is straight sets worth it? No,
but you know it is.
You know what it? I can't even do it.
That'd be rot brain right there.
It's just my throat would be killing me by the end of it, talking like that the whole time. But all right, we will see you guys later. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll be up again next week.
Hell yeah!
All right, we'll see ya.
Peace.